Welcome to 4E TV once again. I'm so glad you chose to tune in and join us today. It's going to be an incredible program, and it's an incredible day already because today is the day that the Lord has made, and I'm going to choose to rejoice and be glad in it. Have you ever felt those times in your life where the anxiety or the worry or the burden was just kind of coming on you? I know you've been there. I have too. It's like sometimes we all get overwhelmed, and we sometimes get overly anxious, if you will, and kind of weighed down. The term, I guess, today would be stressed out. Been stressed out before? When I think about that, and I've been like that before, I have to go back to God's Word and say, God, what do I need to do? What answers are there when I'm having this overwhelming, overburdened, stressed out type of sensation in my emotions, in my body? We all know what I've been there. And God clearly directed me to the phrase, you need to take time to walk away. And I thought, what does that mean? Does that mean walk away from a fight, walk away from a conflict, walk away from a controversy? No, he said, you need to take time, Mark, to walk away. And he directed me to a passage in his Word that I'm going to read to you today that's really important. It's kind of overlooked because it's overshadowed by this amazing, awesome miracle. But there's a subtle truth about Jesus himself taking time to walk away. Because, see, Jesus was on this earth and he dealt with people. And I've said it before, I love people all the time. I just don't like them some of the time. Sometimes we just got to get away. And Jesus himself, yes, God in the flesh, walked away from people. I'm going to read to you a word that's found in the book of Matthew. It's also found in Mark and John as well. But in the Gospel of Matthew, it's a great account of Jesus taking time to walk away. And it's found in Matthew chapter 14. I'm going to begin reading in verse 22 and finish at verse 32. I always like to take a few minutes to get into the Word of God. So here we go in Matthew 14, verse 22, concluding in verse 32. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up to a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against. There was a big, gigantic storm that came upon these guys in this boat. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. See, that's kind of amazing because he was actually walking on top of the water. He didn't sink. So he's walking on the lake, and when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It would have freaked me out too. It's a ghost, they said, and they cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid. Lord, if it's you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. Come, he said to Peter. Then Peter got out of the boat, and he walked on the water too, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, see, he got distracted, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. Immediately Jesus reached out his hands and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? And when they climbed back in the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshiped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. Now, I know it's an amazing story about Jesus walking on the water and about how Peter went out and walked on the water to meet him and got distracted. And that's a whole other lesson for a whole other show. But today, we're going to focus on backing up into verse 23. When he dismissed the crowd, this is after he had fed 5,000 people, men, women, and children, 5,000. He dismissed the disciples in the boat and dismissed people, and he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Jesus himself walked away. See, he didn't walk away just to get away from the people. I think there's a lot of subtle truth here. He actually spent time alone with his Father. He took time to himself. Many times we don't take time because we're too busy in ministry. We're too busy giving. But I will tell you one thing. Sometimes saying yes to other people is truly saying no to yourself. And Jesus sets the ultimate example here by taking time to walk away. Notice also, he didn't take time to ride away in a helicopter. He didn't take time to get on the ski lift and ride to the top of a mountain. He didn't get in a limo. He didn't have his driver come and get him and say, hey, come here. He didn't have his camel driver get him and say, hey, come here, let me pull you up. He walked away up on the mountain by himself to pray. So he had some physical activity, walking away, in order to spend time with God. You know, you've heard me say many times about the relationship between physical activity and emotional, intellectual, and spiritual health. Clearly, we know that when we walk away and we actually put physical activity into an overly emotional situation, our bodies will create chemicals in our minds that actually metabolize those chemicals that are produced when we're anxious through emotion. So physical activity is necessary. It's not an option. It's necessary towards our emotional sanity and our emotional well-being. God gave us 2 legs in order to walk. He didn't want us just hanging them on a chair in order to sit. He wanted us to walk. So that is exactly what the 4E mentality, the 4E philosophy, the 4E ministry is about, teaching people how to incorporate activity into your life. And it's not that hard. As you'll see, you can even take an exercise band, a $7 piece of apparatus, and exercise your entire body. All right, for today's wellness tip, I have an exercise band. Now you can get these things anywhere. This probably cost $10 to $12. This is medium tension, if you will. They come in different tensions. This is a blue band. There's heavier and there's lighter. But I'm going to show you really quick how to take one of these and exercise your whole body. Now, 2 things I want you to know. Number 1 is, ladies and men, this is not about bulking up and getting these big, gigantic muscles. This is about toning and leaning up. This is about having that lean, hard look around your muscles for men and women. This is for everybody, anywhere. And secondly, this is just a small snippet of what is on our DVD package, especially from the intermediate level up to the advanced level. We use a lot of these bands, and I'm just giving you a quick synopsis of how to use this band to exercise your whole body. Okay, now real quick, it's important to understand we need to exercise our entire body. First of all, I'm going to take this band and I'm going to show you how to do a squat and work our lower body from our waist down, even some of our back and upper body too. So I'm going to stand on the band with my feet about shoulder width apart. Now, I could grab the handles right now if I wanted to, but I'm going to increase the tension, so I'm going to grab the band a little bit lower, and I'm going to squat. So I'm pulling up against the band and down, and back up and down. These movements are very slow and controlled, as you can see. Now, I would recommend between 10 and 15 repetitions at about this speed of repetition. So it's down, 1001, 1002, 1003, up, 1001, 1002, 1003, and back down again. Okay, so now I've exercised my lower body. So that was a squat. Now I'm going to take the same band. I'm going to show you how to exercise the chest muscle. Okay, so this can be the pectoralis muscle, the tricep muscle, and the frontal head or the anterior head of the deltoid. All right, so I'm going to put the band behind me. And again, I could grab it on the band, on the handles, but I'm going to grab it down here a little bit lower on these to create more tension, as you can see. So I'm going to grab the band here, I got it behind my back, and I'm going to press outwards, just like this. And as you can see, I'm working my pectoralis and my chest muscles, I'm pushing with my tricep muscles, and also pushing a little bit with my frontal head and my deltoid muscles. Again, nice, slow, controlled tempo, nice, slow, controlled motion as I'm pressing outwards. So now I've worked my legs, I've worked my chest, and now, again, 10 to 12 repetitions, a couple sets of those. I'm going to work my back muscles, so I'm going to take the same band, and I'm going to stand on it one more time. Feet a little bit wider than shoulder width, a little about shoulder width. I'm going to grab it down here in the bands, and I'm going to row instead of stand up with the band. I'm going to row the muscle back like I'm pulling a lawnmower to start a lawnmower. Both hands pulling back. I'm not here, but I'm pulling back and up, keeping my back stationary. Nice controlled tempo again. So I'm working my back muscles. Again, 10 to 15 repetitions. Okay, now, I take the same band, I work my legs, I work my chest, I work my back. Now, it is time to work my biceps. So I'm going to stand up, get the handles in my hand, stand on the band, and I'm going to get my feet a little bit wider to increase the tension, and I'm going to do the curls. As you can see, I'm curling. And again, nice controlled tempo. I'm not jerking it up. I'm just curling it up. Now, ladies especially, and men, this will tighten your arms a lot by doing this. Just tighten it. Again, nice controlled tempo. Exercising the biceps. Okay, now, to exercise the other side of the arm, which is the triceps, I'm going to put the band over my neck, increase the tension up here a little bit for me. Some people don't need to increase the tension, but I do. Lock my elbows to my side and begin to push down. Pushing down. Again, working the back of the arm with the tricep muscle. As you can see, I'm working back here, pressing down. 10 to 15 repetitions. Now for the shoulders, very, very easy. I can simply flip the band behind me, grab the band right here, and press up. I'm doing a military press. I could actually stand on the band right now and grab the handles and begin to do that as well. The band's very useful for the shoulders. I can even work the middle head of the deltoid by doing lateral raises. Again, I'm just doing this with one arm. I could do it with the other arm as well, and I want to. I could do front raises to work the frontal head of the deltoid. Now, to work the rear head of the deltoid, I'm going to step on the band again, just like this. A little more complicated, and grab the handles. I'm actually going to cross them over this time, lean over slightly, and pull backwards, working the rear head of my deltoids. Again, nice controlled, slow motion. Okay, so I've worked all three heads of my deltoid, the posterior or the rear, the anterior, the front, and the lateral, which is the side. So with this exercise band, and again, this is a small snippet of what we do on the Intermediate and Advanced 4E activity package. You can work your whole entire body with this, and it just took us a matter of a couple minutes to go through it. 10 to 15 repetitions, about 3 sets through, continual repetitions, and you will tone up, feel much better. It'll provide you with some great activity. It's easy to do whether you're in a hotel room, your living room, your kitchen, wherever you are. Get an exercise band and get at it. See, it's something simple that you can do anywhere. As you saw, you don't need to go to a gym to get some physical activity. Jesus didn't have a gym back in those days. There wasn't Gold's Gym or World's Gym in Jerusalem in those days. He was just walking away, spending time moving and using his physical body. Well, my guest today, as I told you, is a repeat, and he is far from a repeat because he's always got more information that I get to pick from his brain. My guest today again is Sam Castor from Manatech. Sam, thanks for joining me again. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were incredible last time, and just to kind of recap, you had talked about the birth of your company through ministry and how that they kind of merged, and you were talking about aloe that we're all familiar with. So kind of catch everybody up from where you were at that point.
Well, we launched our company with the discovery of the active ingredient in aloe vera that was patented, and we licensed it to bring it into the market as a dietary supplement. The man that made the discovery, Dr. Bill McAnally, was a research pharmacologist, and we launched our company in 1994. And in 1996, he came in, he said, we are always looking for mechanism of action. What is it systemically that is happening? We know topically what it does for wound care, but there's something going on inside the body. And he opened up this biochemistry textbook to me to a section called glycobiology.
You're like, what?
Yeah, well, glyco is the Greek word for sugar.
Sure.
The active ingredient in aloe vera is a long-chain sugar made up of one particular sugar called mannose.
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 Sounds kind of like manna.
Sounds like manna, doesn't it? Yeah. So anyway, we sat there and talked about the science of glycobiology, which is the study of these sugar structures that stick off the surface of cells. Every cell, on the planet is covered with these sugars. And what we've learned through the science of glycobiology is that all transfer of biological data is done through sugars. And it's in particularly how the immune system works.
So what you're saying is, and this science has been around how many years now, would you say?
Just since 1990, actually.
So it's relatively new. So there's a lot of stuff going on even today.
Yes.
So on the outside of all of our cells reproduce, right?
Yes.
How often do they do that?
Depends on the cell. Some of them are days, some of them are weeks, some of them are months.
And they have to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work in regard to these sugars and the communication?
Well, like for instance, the immune system. It has receptor sites that read these cell surface sugars. And it says, are you me and are you okay? Are you me and are you damaged? Mm-hmm. Do you need repair? Or do you need to be destroyed? Have you become an enemy? And based off what it reads, it orchestrates destruction, repair, leave it alone, whatever. And that's human physiology. You don't need to understand it to know that it works.
Right.
But in the science of glycobiology, what they found is that when sugars are missing from those structures, it is the root of all evil in human health. Because disease cells, like degenerative cells, can go undetected.
So if I was a mean cell and you were a good cell, and that's not the case, we're both okay, but if I was a mean cell and you were a good cell, and you didn't have all the necessary sugars in you, and you saw me, you would look at me like a wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak, right?
It can happen either way. First of all, you can be a wolf in sheep's clothing and
still
go undetected. Or, if the sugar is missing from the immune cell, it attacks good cells. So it happens both ways.
Wow.
And our theory was that adding those sugars back into the diet, and the predominant sugar is the one from aloe vera, you could repair those structures and allow the immune system to work okay. And so that's really the basis for the technology that we developed in glycobiology. Mm-hmm. We call them glyconutrients. Since we discovered them, we filed patents all over the world, and today we own patents in 50 countries around the world on that technology.
Wow. So, Sam, when people, where do the sugars come from? Do they come from food?
They come from plants.
From plants.
Aloe vera is a plant. It's interesting, they come from plants that in the cultures where they come from have the reputation like aloe vera. You know, the healing plant. And it's because these sugars facilitate all the functions of normal physiology for, you know, repair and regeneration of new healthy cells.
So if I eat the best diet that I can eat, the best nutritional here in my Western culture, am I going to get all those sugars in my diet?
No, that's the problem. Only 2 of them, of the 8 that are required, exist in our common diets. And so without supplementation, it's almost impossible for your body to keep up with the need. And that's why poor health is allowed to proliferate, because your immune system loses the ability to do what its God-given capacity which is to protect you.
And you know, I was reading some statistics, and to use a term that you're very familiar with, this idea of malnutrition. It is a pandemic. It is a global problem, and it's not just in a third world country. You know, I travel abroad, and so do you. We know that the concept of malnutrition has got to be apparent, because, as you're saying, in this Western culture, I'm getting readily maybe 2 of the 8 that I need to be completely equipped inside in my cells. So you see that as a problem, this idea of malnutrition. It's amazing, because as you were sharing with me earlier, your company is doing some real unique and awesome stuff in the area of malnutrition.
Well, we recognize that the face of malnutrition has changed. It used to be a starving child in Africa. Now it's an obese child in America. You know, and it doesn't look like what you would think malnutrition is, but a deficiency of vitamins and minerals in these sugars, you know, again, is the root of all evil. And what we did at our company is we decided that since we owned the technology that could make the biggest difference, and because of our faith and our calling, we knew that there was something beyond our company that would be required of us. And I think on the last show we talked about the fact that we started a not-for-profit organization called Manna Relief. And now what we do is every time we sell one of our products in one of the 26 countries that we operate in, that generates a donation so a child someplace in the world gets that same quality of nutrition.
And you mentioned doing something, and check out some action in regard to addressing this malnutrition issue.
Malnutrition has become the #1 health risk that children face in the world today. At any given moment, 55 million children around the world are exposed to malnutrition. According to the New York Times, between 1/3 and 1/2 of all childhood deaths are linked to malnutrition. At Manna Relief, we're dedicated to solving that problem through real food technology solutions.
We're happy to see that Manna Relief came today and found us. And with all the products that they brought, it's a joy that the children will have here daily.
We can see them catching up. Their lives are being restored through these vitamins.
Thank you so much for having us as part of it. It improves the quality of our children's lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We had children who were small, they were not gaining weight very fast. We realized that they recover very, very fast. So we wish we could continue having it, even extend our borders.
It is an honor, a pleasure for Central Fox to welcome Mr. Sam Custer, which has a lot to do with this commitment to bring in high-quality products that bring in health to people in the center of Mexico.
Ha habido un cambio muy tremendo en ellos.
We were excited to have this, especially because we don't have money to get good food, good nutrition for them.
En una semana logramos subir al niño 1 kilo más de peso.
Lo bulliciosos que andan ellos, lo más participativos.
As we partner together, we are actually setting a new standard, and we're going to see a world change.
It's a godsend to have true nutritional products that we can distribute to folks.
I don't know when I've been as excited as I was when the big truck pulled up and we had 10 or 12 pallets of the nutritional food.
I can't express how grateful we are and how grateful the people are for what they receive from Manna Relief. It will be an impact that will be felt for years to come.
Every year, 5 million children under the age of 5 die of the most acute forms of malnutrition. That's one child every 6 seconds. Our goal is to provide a real food technology solution to every one of those children.
That's just heartbreaking, and many times we look at a problem that we see, we're aware of, and we experience. We think there is no answer, and it gets so insurmountable, we sometimes don't do anything. But I'm grateful for men like Sam who stepped up into the gap, if you will, and decided to do something about it, because truly we all have this responsibility. 5 million kids per year die. 5 million. If I had my way, it would be 0. Can I have an effect on the 5 million? I don't know, but I know I can have an effect on 1. And I want to encourage you to get connected with companies, with people that actually meet real, just horrible, horrible issues. And Sam, I'm just overwhelmed, and I wish we had 2 more hours to talk, because there's so much. And not only does Manatech address this malnutrition issue, it also deals with issues such as sustained, fat loss, if you will, because that's a big topic today. We're worried about, there's so many fitness programs out that are talking about weight reduction, but you're talking about fat loss, which is what we really need to focus on. So tell me a bit about how it addresses that issue of fat loss.
Well, one of the things these sugars do is they help direct nutrients appropriately to cells. And the biggest challenge is the average person in America diets 4 times a year. So something's wrong.
Yeah, you said diet. Take the T off of diet, what that spelled, die, literally.
So we can lose weight in America. We can't keep weight off. Yep. And almost all the new research points to the fact that during the diet phase or the weight loss phase, if you are malnourished, then essentially what happens is it triggers a gene in your body that forces your body to convert all new calories to fat.
Yep.
And so, the weight comes back with a vengeance. And so we believe that the best solution for long-term fat loss is real food nutrients, including these sugars, that basically nourish the cell while you're losing weight so that when you're done, you know, you can maintain sustainable fat loss.
Yeah, and the neat thing about that is the reason that the body wants to store everything in fat, because fat is such a long stored energy source, and the body's afraid it's gonna die, so it starts storing fat for energy. And so as that happens, we get on these cycles of just trying to diet, and this yo-yo starts, and it's typically ends in this vicious cycle of failure, and we feel depressed, and that goes into a whole nother area. So it's nutrition plus education is what we're getting here today, plus some activity, and then we find success, we find wellness, which is what we're all after. Sam, I wish we had again another 2 hours to talk. I'm so intrigued. Will you come back and join me again at some point?
Anytime. This has been great. Thank you very
I'm
much.
Grateful. Well, you know what? I just want to take a couple minutes in closing here, and it's with regret we got to close this show, because it's been such a blessing, and I'm always encouraged by men that have vision and foresight and passion, and are living that passion out that's synonymous with their purpose. And here at 4E, we are truly about serving the Lord, and there is a for-profit side, the 4E Fitness, and we sell tools there. But there's also this side that's not for profit, that operates and supports programs like this to communicate truths, to help people out, to give them answers, real answers to real problems. And companies like Manatech represent real answers to a real problem. And, you know, 4E Foundation is about utilizing the gifts and talents and platforms through television, through school assemblies, through speaking engagements, to travel around this world to communicate truths such as this. And I'm grateful that you chose to join us today. Get on our website, find out if there's a click link there that you can click on and donate to 4E Foundation. Your gifts are tax deductible. We appreciate your prayerful consideration to support this ministry, and I am so grateful that you chose to join us today. I hope you were encouraged and blessed. Man, I sure was. I tell you, I am so fired up right now, and I just hope you are too. And today, I want to encourage you to live in the fullness and the blessing of God. Continue to study His Word, spend time with Him, get to know Him better. And friend, just be so blessed. God bless you.